Hey, friend, on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your level of happiness today? You know, as human beings, we have this tendency to set lofty goals before us. And we say, you know what, whenever I finally do this or I achieve that, then that's whenever I'll finally be happy. And for some of us, we set a goal of perhaps finding love, creating a new career, making an extravagant purchase, having a child. The list goes on and on. But here's the thing. In psychology, there is something that is referred to as the hedonic treadmill. And basically what that is, what the theory behind this is that we as human beings have a baseline level of happiness. And no matter what we experience, no matter what we accomplish, we will always end up back at that same baseline level of happiness. And isn't that true? Haven't you ever obtained something or achieved something and then you're like, wow, that was it? I thought I'd be happier than I am right now. And the whole reason behind that is that you already have a genetically predetermined baseline of happiness that you can't necessarily escape from. No achievement, no circumstance is going to make that any better or any different. But here's the good news in the midst of that, okay? This baseline level of happiness really only attributes to about 50% of your level of happiness. So while that still seems like it's a lot, it's still not 100%. There are still things that we can do on a daily basis that can help us move forward and increase that baseline level of happiness that we experience in life. And I'd like to share with you a list of 6 different things that you can do to increase your baseline level of happiness. And this is something that has been put together by a famous positive psychologist by the name of Tal Ben-Sahar. And I love the list. I actually have a list in front of me. And the first one is this: give yourself permission to be human. Accept the fact that you're not always happy, and that's okay. Your baseline level might be the first thing that comes to my mind is RBF. You might not always be happy. You might seem as if you are perhaps even a little bit melancholy. That's okay. That's who you are. Give yourself grace. You are human. Also, you may choose to simplify your life, and that can simply be done by focusing on one thing at a time instead of trying to take on multiple projects or extending ourselves beyond our limit, limiting ourselves to participate in one enjoyable activity or one strenuous activity at a time. The next is this: find meaning and find purpose. Find meaning and find pleasure. There is pleasure and purpose. Another positive psychologist whose name I cannot never pronounce right, so I'm not even going to try to butcher it. It talks about flow. And a flow is a state where we get lost in doing something, where we lose track of time because we are so intertwined with the activity before us. That's where we find purpose. That's where we find meaning. That's where we know that we're living the life that we ought to be living. So find meaning, find pleasure, find purpose. Also, focus on the positive and be grateful. As human beings, we have a tendency to look at the worst case scenario all the time. We fall into the mind trap of where we end up taking a look at every worst case scenario instead of looking at what is going right in our life. So part of focusing on the positive in our life is training ourselves to weaning ourselves away from the tendency to look at every negative aspect of our life and focusing on the positive. So positivity and gratitude are 2 great practices that help pick up our level of happiness in life. Also, another thing that we can do, another strategy that we can apply to increasing our baseline level of happiness is putting additional effort into our relationships that matter most to us. For some of us, that's asking our partner to go out on a date. For others, it's picking up the phone and making a phone call. There's so many people that sit by their phone waiting for someone to call them instead of picking up the phone and making an effort to have a conversation, to engage in a relationship that they desire to build or to strengthen. So increase the level of effort that you're placing into your relationships. Also, the final strategy is to be mindful of the mind and body connection. And there's many different practices to be able to do this. Some of them are very Eastern based, some of them are very Americanized. I myself, I practice centering prayer every morning and just spend some time just really being present in the now and focusing on where I'm at today. I know that the past is no longer tangible, the future is not yet here, but what I am given, what God has blessed me with, is the gift of now, and I choose to live in it. So I encourage you to be mindful of what is taking place in your mind, what is taking place in your body, and showing up as the person who God created you to be. And listen, my friend, if you're struggling, if you find yourself on this treadmill that you're like, man, no matter what I accomplish, I'm just not happy. You're not alone, and you're not weird. You are simply human. And I definitely would love to partner with you to help you increase your baseline level of happiness. I have a program that is called 𝐵𝐷². I would love to see you be part of it. I help people to learn how to be, dream, believe, and do. I help people bridge the gap from where they're currently at to where they desire to be. And also I help them to break free of the unrealistic expectations placed on them by others and themselves. If you are interested, feel free to send me a DM. And also, if this conversation is something that was of interest to you, if something caught your attention, feel free to comment. I would love to see you comment. I would love to see you share this with a friend. And I really appreciate you joining me on this journey. Go make this day happen, my friend. Be blessed.